Jake has to talk to me afterwards and be like, hey, so actually, we were kicked off the youth team. I'm just kidding. How you guys doing? You guys doing good? Okay, sweet. So we're going to talk about the impossible. I know you guys talked about a lot of stuff. In our group outside, I feel like 97% of what we talked about was surfing. To be honest. Yeah, we talked about, getting caught in waves and drowning. Normal everyday things. But situations that definitely feels impossible. But speaking of water, how many of you guys like water? Like swimming, the ocean, lakes, stuff like that. I love it. It's fantastic. We're actually going to talk about a story from the Bible that involves water. I'm going to read it. We're talking about a dude. Can anybody guess his name?
Jesus.
Jesus. That's a great guess. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it is Jesus. It is Jesus. I ask my kids almost every Sunday, I'm like, guys, who are we talking about today? And then usually I'll just throw them a curveball and I'll be like, King Hezekiah or something, and they're sitting there guessing for like 20 minutes, and then we never get anywhere. Anyways, so, I don't know if I'm actually going to read it. I think I'll just tell you guys the story because it might take too long to read. But essentially what happens in this story, so you guys know who Jesus is, right? Jesus, he, Son of God, came down from heaven. He essentially showed us how we should live life. Died on a cross, rose again. Spoiler alert if you guys haven't read the books or seen the movie. Anyways, so while he was here, he preached to a crowd. And then he sent his disciples off in a boat. So they just go, and honestly, that'd be kind of like my leader just sent me somewhere else. But I'm going to just go, right? Because he told me to do that. Jesus goes on a mountain to pray. Then it's the middle of the night. There's a storm. And that says it's about 3 a.m. There's a storm. The disciples are freaking out because they're in a boat in a storm. And who's not freaking out if you're in the boat in a storm, right? Jesus pops up out of nowhere. He's walking on the water. Like physically walking on the water. Why was he walking on the water? And honestly, I feel like it was probably too far to swim. I feel like he was just like, this is quicker, So he's walking on the water. The disciples are like, what the heck? There's this dude walking on the water. They didn't think it was Jesus. They thought it was a ghost. They're like, it's a ghost for sure. Which honestly makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've seen I don't know how many ghosts walking on water. Never happened, right? So they're like freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, there's this ghost walking on the water. And then Jesus is like, hey guys, it's me. I don't think he actually said it like that. But he gets closer. And Peter, so you guys know who Peter is? Peter was a disciple of Jesus. He actually was a fisherman, so he's used to boats. He's probably used to storms. But he's sitting in the boat, and he's like, and Peter says to Jesus, he says, hey, if it's you, call me to you. And Jesus says, you know what Jesus says? He says, come. So Peter walks over to the side of the boat. This is the side of the boat. Steps over. Daniel's losing it right now. That's all right. His foot lands on the water. It doesn't sink. He takes another step. He's standing on the water. Wow. And honestly, if I'm Peter, I'm freaking out right now because I can almost guarantee this has never happened to him before. He starts walking toward Jesus. In the middle of this storm, he's walking on the water towards Jesus. He's just looking at Jesus. Jesus is looking at him. They're walking towards each other. And he's walking on the water. And all of a sudden, he looks around him. And he's like, oh, snap. I'm in the middle of the storm. And then he starts to sink. And he's like, Jesus, help me. Jesus is like, I got you, fam. And then Jesus tapped him up and let him sink. I'm just kidding. Jesus grabs him, pulls him up, they go back to the boat. And it's super funny. I think this is hilarious. But Jesus says, oh wait, where is it? No, I think I lost my place. Anyways, but Jesus essentially says you didn't have enough faith. Crazy stuff. This dude that just walked, I don't know how far, on water. Okay. So we're talking about the impossible, right? How many of you think it is a very possible thing to walk on water? Oh wow, okay, so afterwards we're gonna walk over to this pool and you guys are gonna all show me your walking on water skills. and we're gonna record it. We're gonna go viral on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Venmo. I feel like this new social media platform is gonna be Venmo. I feel like you're just gonna read people's comments on what they're sending each other, and you're just gonna because you can like it and stuff. Venmo is up and coming. I'm putting all my bets into social media, Venmo. Anyways, forget all of that. Okay, so this seems like a really impossible thing, right? Peter sees Jesus. The first thing I want you to look at here is Peter. He doesn't wait for Jesus to call him. I feel like so many Christians, they have situations around them, and they're like just waiting for God to tell them what to do. Like Moses. How many of you guys know the story of Moses? Moses was in the wilderness. He was chilling. Well, not in the wilderness. He was in like the mountains. He was like herding sheep. God comes to him and was like, hey, I want you to go do this. I want you to set the Israelites free, right? I feel like that's almost what every Christian, that's like their state they're usually in, is they're like, we're just going to wait until God tells us what to do. Peter, he gets it's a crazy situation where Jesus is walking on water. And he asks, he says, if it's you, call me to you. He actually took that first step and was like, Jesus, if it's you, I want to come to you. So I feel like a lot of situations that we get in, we either wait for God to tell us what to do, or we just don't do anything at all. But Peter, he says, God, if it's you, call me to you. And Jesus says, come. Sometimes God has something incredible planned for you, something for you to do that's actually going to be incredible. He's just waiting for you to ask. Or maybe he's just waiting for you to, honestly, if Peter would have just gotten out of the boat, he probably would have just walked. So, that's point number one. Anyways, I think that's super cool, because I feel like God actually invites us to ask questions. To not just sit around and wait, if you ever get put on your heart something, maybe I should pray for that person. Maybe I should go do missions in this country. Maybe I should go give this homeless person money. But you're like, I didn't feel like God told me. You know what's a really simple solution to that? Hey God, what do I do right now? Oh, okay, you do want me to go do missions in, we're gonna go extreme, Saudi Arabia, or something crazy. It could be insane, right? But you can always ask that question, because God, He's like supposed to be your best friend. You're supposed to walk hand in hand with Him, and He can take you there. But sometimes I feel like a lot of Christians, we just kind of wait around. We're like, we'll just wait until God says something to me. Once I hear an audible voice, then I'll go do it. But no, God invites us to be in a relationship with Him and ask Him questions about the things that we're going to do. Ask Him questions about the thing that He wants us to do. Okay. So the second thing I want to look at, I flipped a page here. It's a good word, bro. So Peter's walking on the water, right? He first asks the question, does something impossible? Because if you ask the question, then Jesus can invite you into doing something impossible, something crazy that you've never seen before. Maybe it's someone getting healed. Maybe it's your family. My parents almost broke up, and that was actually that was a really impossible situation for me. Because for 8 months, my family was split apart. But God actually restored that and healed it. Anyways, coming back to what I was saying. So, Peter's walking on the water, right? He's looking at Jesus, Jesus is looking at him. They're walking towards each other. They're probably just covering distance. And then Peter, all of a sudden, he looks around him. And he's like, oh snap. I'm in the middle of the storm. I'm standing on this water. There's waves. I don't know if there's rain. I don't know what else is going on. But there's a lot of stuff going on, right? And he's like, gets scared. Yeah. He's foot surfing. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try that.
So he gets scared, and then what happens? He starts to sink. It's crazy. I feel like this is something you hear a lot in the Christian community, but it's so true. The more you look at Jesus, the smaller your problems become. everything around you, everything surrounding you, everything that's going on, that's crazy, all the storms in your life, they become smaller. But if you focus on the storm, you can't see Jesus. And that's why he sung. So any impossible situation you're in, I feel like right now, if you think about it, there's probably something in your life that you're like, I can't fix, I can't change, there's nothing I can do about that. There's situations that we get into almost every single day where we pass people that have cancer, that are dying, that don't have homes, that can't pay their mortgage. There's lots of things that are going on around us that we pass by every single day. And we're kind of just like, oh man, this sucks. People talk about like the evil in the world and all the bad things that happen. But here's a crazy idea. What if we're supposed to counter that? What if we're supposed to be the good on the other side? What if we're supposed to be the people that pray for that person in the wheelchair and they get up? What if we're supposed to be that person that you may have a friend that's really depressed and they're not doing well? What if you're supposed to be the person that doesn't just look at that, but you're like, Jesus, what do I do? And you look at God and you can help them through that tough season. Or it might be yourself. I feel like something that's come up during all of COVID is a lot more people have fallen into depression and anxiety, and it's a really real thing, and it's super sad. But God wants to walk through that with you. He wants to be there with you. He wants to have you walk on the water over that and not sink into it. So, bringing it back, Peter looks at Jesus first. And while he's looking at Jesus, he's walking on the water. He's doing the impossible. He's doing something that I don't think any other human, aside from Jesus, has done before. He's doing something that's crazy. You don't hear about that anywhere else in the Bible. It's insane, right? But then once he looks away, that's when he starts to sink. And I feel like in my life, kind of what I've already said is like, the more I look at Jesus, the clearer I can think, the clearer I can see, the more I know what to do, and I can just follow him, I can just worship him. And I'm not saying ignore your problems or ignore the things in front of you, but like, Jesus wants to help you with all of that. I've tried so many times, let me tell you, I've tried so many times to fix my issues on my own. And I've had a lot of ish. But the times that I don't try to fix it and actually go to God and let him help me fix it, that's when something actually incredible happens. And I could probably go on for a while about that. Okay. So, I think this story is really interesting, right? Like, Jesus walks on water, Peter walks on water, but then you have a whole other audience. You have the rest of the disciples sitting in the boat. Like, they're just chilling there. Like, and honestly, I feel like a lot of people, like, put yourself in this story. I don't always do that, but, like, put yourself in this story. I'm probably not Peter. I'm probably not like, hey, Jesus, if that's you, call me out there because I want to walk on this water. No, I'm probably like the rest of the disciples, like just sitting there like, yeah, so this boat's nice and cozy. I got a blankie right here. I'm under a little umbrella. I'm good. I'd rather not walk out on the water, right? I'd rather not like even attempt that, either like face that. I'll just wait till Jesus comes to me, right? Like, I'll just wait till he gets to me. So, like, my question for you, and I think the question that I ask myself is, we face things every single day, and I mentioned this before. We face things every single day that may seem impossible. And I feel like Christians, myself included, would much rather sit in a boat than get out and walk on the water. Because it's comfortable. How many of you like being comfortable? Some of you are like, I actually really would be uncomfortable. Honestly, I love being comfortable. Like, give me one of these bean bags and I will just like lay back and I'll just be like, I could sit here for hours. Like, Jordy's just chilling. Blanket, bean bag, hoodie. That's like my prime state right there. We love being comfortable. It's easy. It doesn't feel endangering. It doesn't feel weird. And that's kind of, and I feel like there's a certain sense of that, but it's like natural. Like, you probably shouldn't be endangering your life every second of every day. Actually, you shouldn't. I don't want you guys to go home and be like, hey, so the man with the microphone said that I should endanger my life every single day, every second. Don't do that. Anyways, but I feel like a lot of us, and myself included, like I'll include myself in this, we would much rather sit in the boat. And it's really interesting because Jesus tells Peter, he's like, oh, like, you didn't have enough faith. What about the rest of the disciples? They didn't even get out of the boat. Now here's the thing I want you to look at. Peter did something that we don't hear about anywhere else. And technically, if you want to look at it from a, pass fail situation, he kind of failed. He did it for a little bit, but then he didn't actually make it to Jesus. And I want to say something. That's okay. I think the fact that Peter took the risk and actually went out and took a step of faith and did something that was out of the ordinary, that wasn't what people naturally do. I mean, you don't naturally walk on water. The fact that he fell, that's okay. That's all right. Because he got out of the boat. So we're looking at your life, we're looking at your situations. You may see someone that you know needs help, or you may see an impossible situation. You might feel God's heart tug on you and be like, hey, so that woman in the wheelchair, I want you to pray for her. And you're like, I don't know, I've prayed for people before and I've never seen anything happen. I've never seen someone get healed of a cold, and you want me to pray for this woman in a wheelchair. Step out on the water. Take that risk. Why? Because the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get walking on it. The more comfortable you're going to get praying for people. And you know what? Somebody, that situation is not going to be impossible anymore. It's actually going to be very possible. There's a guy, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a guy named Todd White. And I want to say he prayed for, I want to say it was like 1,000 people before he saw anyone get healed.
Yes.
Right, that's right. I've heard.
It wasn't necessarily a number, he prayed for people for years and never saw them.
Right. He saw so many, he just read the Bible and he saw that Jesus prayed for people. He's like, I want to do that. He went and prayed for people, never saw anyone healed, and now almost everywhere he goes and prays for people, he sees people healed all the time. Todd White stepped out on the water. He stepped out in faith and was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to go after. And he failed. Don't let falling in the water get you down. Get back up. Let Jesus help you up and then keep going after it. Because if you stay in the boat your entire life, you're never going to see the impossible actually become possible. So I think my question for you is the things in your life, the situations that you face, do you want to be the person that stays in the boat and is really, really cushy over here? Got like a nice padded cushion? Or do you want to be the person that you may fall 1,000 times, but you're going to keep trying to walk on the water. You're going to keep going after the impossible. You're going to keep believing. You're going to keep believing. You're going to keep praying for that. And you're going to keep going after those things. So yeah, I'm going to end with that. But while Stephen and Jake, you saying anything? While they kind of get up here and stuff, I just want you to think in your mind, what's one thing that you can think of in your life, and I think we've talked about it already, aside from surfing, what's like something you can think of in your life that feels impossible, but you know that with God, it's possible to overcome that. It may be school, it may be your family, it may be a relationship, it may be something, maybe it may be a health issue, maybe something you just had for years and you're like, I'm stuck with this. Think about that thing and think, do I just want to sit here and live with it, or do I want to take a step out on that water towards Jesus and have the impossible become possible? So just take a moment, think about that, and think about what God wants to do in that situation. Think about how Jesus wants to walk with you on the water